Hi, everyone. Hopefully you can see this. If you can, please leave me a message in chat and let me know that the stream's gone live okay. Hopefully it'll go a bit smoother than last time. So we'll just give it a moment. We'll give it a couple of minutes for people to show up, and then we'll start going through our slides for the day. And we're going to be mostly looking at Google Chrome today, which should be good. So we'll just give it a couple more minutes to see if people, if anyone else is showing up for today's session. If you are, you should be able to see chat, hopefully. If not, I don't know why. I'll see if I can put a link into, I've put a link into the Google Classroom. So if you haven't, do that. And if you haven't got the link to the Google Classroom, it's in the virtual briefing that was given out on Friday. But you should be able to do that. Cool. Not sure if I can see anyone is actually accessing chat. I can see Emma there, and that she's appreciating that I've color coordinated my top and the image over there. There you go. All planned, of course. I'm currently working on getting some fake tan to bronze myself up to try and match the orange over here as well. And then I think that will complete the look. Yeah, I'm not sure if other people can actually see the chat. Emma had a problem getting online with the chat, possibly linked to accessing it with her school email, but we're not completely certain if that's true. But regardless, we'll push on, and then there'll always be the recording we can put out onto YouTube and Google Classroom later. So we're looking at Google Chrome today. There's loads you can do with Google Chrome, and I've already skipped the first tab. There's loads you can do on Google Chrome. And it's one of those ones that especially in the way that we teach at TBS, it's essential for pretty much everything that we do. We access everything through Google Chrome. So learning how to do all of those kind of daily tasks a little bit quicker and a little bit smoother, it saves you so much time. It makes your life so much less aggravating when you're trying to do these things or multitask. And there's a lot of different tricks we can learn from it. We'll start off having a look at Google People and how we can manage our profiles within Chrome. After that, we're going to look at using Google Bookmarks within Chrome and how we can set them up to help manage our workloads and keep things efficient and easy. We're going to look at some Chrome extensions as well, which are kind of like the ways that you can customize Google Chrome and add on some special features that are really going to help you make the most out of it. We'll look at setting up multiple windows. We touched on this a bit last week, but we'll just recap it again because it's specific to Chrome, how we can manage having multiple Chrome windows. Hi, Anna. Did you have problems seeing chat before? Were there any issues in doing so? Like, did you need to refresh or anything? Let me know in the comments. And then we'll have a look at pinning tabs as well, which is a really easy way of kind of keeping your staples around without having to worry about losing them. So having a look at people first. So you should notice that within Chrome, you've got this small icon up in the top right, and you can use this to separate your personal work and your professional work. So it's up here. I've got mine as my Nix EdTech one. And if I open this up, you can see that I've got a bunch of different accounts all logged in here. Now, okay. So these different accounts, what they allow me to do is jump between different profiles that I've got set up within Google Chrome. So for example, you can see I've got my bookmarks up at the top here, and I've got my list of extensions here. And if I were to switch over to my school account, I've got a different set of bookmarks and a different set of Chrome extensions. Now, that's because those extensions and those personal preferences get associated with your Google user profile, which is why if you sign into a new computer, you can just log in and all of this stuff will populate, which makes life a lot easier. Interesting though, this also dictates what browser history gets shown as well. So if you use YouTube for watching a lot of music videos or anything like that, that may be less than appropriate for a Year 4 classroom, this is an easy way of keeping your YouTube browsing history separate from your school one as well. And it's a nice way of separating that work out. So I would highly recommend, if you haven't done already, making sure that you are using different profiles nice and easily for separating your workloads. Muting tabs. A lot of people don't know you can do this. I mean, just quite simply, right-clicking on a tab brings you up a bunch of different options, which you should be able to see on my cursor over in the top left there. And you've got the one down here for muting a site. Now, this can be really useful if you want to have YouTube in the background and you want to avoid having pop-ups and things like that. But it's more useful, I find, for Gmail, because especially when you're working at home and everything we're doing is online, I've always got my email account open, and I want to make sure that I can leave it there without having constant pop-up sounds. Or if you use Hangouts as well, which I know a lot of people do, it can be quite frustrating when you're trying to focus on something and you just want to like separate that side from what you're currently doing. So what you can do there is, if you right-click on a tab, you can mute the site, and then until you unmute it, it will be permanently kept silent. So this one's really useful for Gmail, really useful for keeping on top of removing some of the irritations from other websites. It can also be really useful if you know that certain sites automatically have music when you start up, as some do. Bookmarks. This one's probably one of the biggest time savers that I have. So you can find your bookmark manager by going to the three dots in the top right of your screen, then going to bookmarks, and then bringing that down and going to show bookmarks bar and also your bookmark manager. That brings up this bar across the top here. And what this allows you to do is you can start to then favorite different pages, and you can have things ready and set to go. Again, I'll show you how I've got this set up for my personal account, sorry, for my school account. You can see this bar over at the top. And hopefully you should be able to see I've got my Seesaw page, I've got Gmail, Calendar, Engage, all of these things that I'm going to use all of the time. You could also set up folders though. So if you set up folders within this, which is quite easy to do, if you right click on your bookmark bar, you can just quite simply go to add folder, and then you can add a folder into there. So I'll put this in as example folder. What this allows me to do is then I can then start to nestle like other bookmark links under there. So say if I wanted this to be my year 6 folder, for example. So I could rename it as year 6 folder. And then all of my links that are related to year 6, I can start putting in here. And that's what I've done in my school account. And I'll show you here real quickly. So I've got my year 6 folder. It's got all of the different drives that I need to access so that I don't have to constantly go searching through them. I've got my ICT one from being the ICT coordinator, including a few different links that I like to use from different reference points. I've got primary resources that I at one point aimed to start sorting into maths and English and things like that. And I can definitely be more organized with this as well. The point being, it's a really nice and simple way of showing that information and of keeping it so that you can access it quickly. And what's also really nice about it, if I've say got this one here, teaching resources, and there's 6 different links in here, you can right click and you can just open all. So then it's going to open everything at once. Now that's not particularly useful in this example, but it was really useful when I was doing report writing. So what I did was I bookmarked every single one of my year 6 reports, which were on Google Docs, put them into one folder. And then what I could do was right click on the folder and open all 20 of them at once. And then I could start making systematic changes to them and just work a bit more methodically. What's quite nice with Chrome as well is you can also right click on the tab and close tabs to the right or close other tabs. And it's a nice way of then opening in batches and closing in batches. Again, it's all these little tricks that knowing how you can do it save you so much time in the long run. So that's bookmarks. There's a load that you can do with them that it really does help to spend maybe half an hour or an hour and go through and set everything up like you want it, like you're going to, like especially now that we're in week 5 of our term, so that you can already predict which websites you're going to be using frequently, which programs you're going to be using frequently. And this is a nice way of kind of setting that up for you. Extensions. Okay, so if you don't know, Google Chrome has its own web store, which there's a link from these. All of these are hyperlinked down here. But the Google Chrome web store has kind of a load of different programs that you can start to add to your own experience. And these are ways that you can start to customize what Google Chrome can do for you. And it's kind of like the App Store, but for Google Chrome. Now, I've put in here 8 recommendations that I highly recommend. Well, most of them I highly recommend. I haven't tried 2 of these out yet, but I'll explain why they're on here. Grammarly, if you haven't used it, is like a constant spell checker, and it's a nice way of just showing when you've made mistakes, and you can hover over, mouse over, and then pop up different corrections. But Checker Plus, this one down here, is the absolute be-all and end-all of Chrome extensions as far as I'm concerned, because what it does is it means that you can check your Gmails, you can see when emails come in, and you can respond to them without ever leaving the page that you're on. So you can see I've got this icon up here in the top left, sorry, top right, and it's a little red envelope with a red 2 next to it. That means that I've currently got 2 unread emails on this account. One of them is that I am now live on YouTube, so I can get rid of that, or I can archive it, delete it, report it as spam. For now, I'll mark it as unread. And then I've got a test email here that I set up earlier. So what this does is I can open it up. I can see I've got an email that says, here is some text. It contains words and things. This is just an example, though, obviously. But I can reply to it in here, and I can type my response. I can send that off. I can then mark it. I can still star it and save it for later. I can delete it. I can sort it into different folders. Loads of things I can do, but I never need to leave what I'm currently doing. So again, this is just a nice, simple way of keeping focus on what you're doing, and meaning that if an email comes in, you'll see a little pop-up right window in the top right. You can mark it as read straight away without even reading it, or you can just leave it until later and know that you've got something there, but you don't have to go and check your email to be able to do it. So it's really useful. Checker Plus for calendar is the one to the side here, and what that does is it shows you a little pop-up of your calendar for the day, and it'll do like countdowns until the next thing that you've got in calendar is approaching. The Great Suspender is a really useful one. This is kind of like putting a screensaver on individual tabs. Now, the reason that you might want this is what it is. When you've got a tab open in the background, it's using up some of the memory of your computer, it's using up some of the bandwidth on your internet, and if it's not actually being used at the moment, you may not need to have it there, but you may, I'm sure all of us do this, you're leaving it there because you know at some point you're going to come back to that, and it doesn't really warrant setting up a whole bookmark. Well, the Great Suspender will leave that tab there for you, but it will kind of put it into a sleeping mode, and then you just click on the tab to reopen it, and it will kind of come back to life. This is really useful for a bunch of different reasons. I'm just wondering if any of mine have done it yet. They haven't, because I've been on them too recently. But what's really nice about it is that if all of us are doing this across the school, it makes all of the school internet a lot better. So that's why you see ICT recommending this one a lot. There's a bunch of other ones here for you to explore. I would say Checker Plus and the Great Suspender are the 2 that I couldn't do without. There's also this document here, which is put together by a guy called Tim Evans. Tim kindly agreed that we could share this as a part of this section here. And he was one of the facilitators at the Google Educational Summit that we had at Kathmandu. And on here, he's just got a load more information about different extensions that you might use, along with videos that you can add in there as well. So if you have the time, have a browse through here, do some exploring and try out some different ones. There's really a huge wealth of things that you can explore here. Okay, so that's extensions. Like I said, it's like an app store for Google. The other thing I want to share is about doing multiple windows. Now, there's a GIF here that you'll be able to come back and watch at your leisure, but mostly it's just knowing that you can do things like rearrange the tabs up at the top. It's knowing that you can drag down different tabs. So if I go and I'm going to open up this teaching resources one again, and I've now got all of these, but say if I want to start working with EduPuzzle, or Edpuzzle, I can then bring this down and make a separate window, and then it's still there with the other one behind it, and I can carry on working with this. I can add different ones on here as well. And it's a really nice way of opening all of these up and then being able to still separate different lessons and different sections. So the way that I use this is that I'll have one set of tabs for English, and it'll have like my English planning document, the current slides I'm working on, any other links that are related to that, possibly links to my long-term plan as well. I'll have then another set of windows entirely dedicated to maths, and then I'll have another one entirely dedicated to IPC. Maybe I'll have one for the ICT stuff that I do. And again, I can then switch between these windows really easily. And it's a nice way of preventing this here, which I see depressingly often. It's such a common thing to see on a teacher's laptop, that they've got so many tabs open that you can't see any words anymore. All you can see are icons. And if it's like 50 Google Docs, all you can see is the same icon repeated again and again and again. So this is a great way of preventing that, of making it so that your life is manageable within a MacBook, and making it so that you don't really get overwhelmed and you don't spend wasted time clicking through tabs when you could just set this up and have it as a part of your working process. Back to that working process as well, pinning tabs. So another thing that you can do up here with a tab is you can pin it. If you right click, then you've got this option right next to mute where you can pin a tab. Now, pinning it means that it goes from being that like wider section to a smaller one. So you can see here my example where I've got my Google Chrome tab. If I pin that, it changes just down to that icon as if I had a bunch open. Now I know that that is my Google Chrome tab for this set. And what I can do then is I can set up various ones of those. And I'll show you briefly with my school email once more and how that's set up. So here I've got 5 tabs pinned up at the top. I can tell you right now, I've got my Gmail tab, I've got my calendar tab, I've got Seesaw, I've got my the Google Drive folder for this week, and I've got the weekly overview document that all of Year 6 are currently using. This means that if I try and shut all of these windows, these will still remain. It also means that they take up much less space, and I can leave the space for ones that are more temporary, because these are like a permanent fixed staple here as well. It also means that if I click on, for example, and I go to close other tabs, it will close other tabs, but it won't touch the pinned ones because they're like reserved and they're separate. So it's another way that you can start using some of these functions and never have to worry about these ones. So this is a really useful thing that you can do to make sure that you're, again, making most of that bar that you've got, because it's your overview of your current working process. And also you can still then drag and rearrange those and have them set up as you want to. It's a really useful thing. It's something that I now have on every single set of windows that I have. I'll have my Drive folder pinned. I'll have all of these things so that when I want to reach for that particular document, it's always there and it's always waiting. Another great thing about pinning tabs is that, so this great suspender Chrome extension that we talked about earlier, this puts tabs into a sleeping suspended mode, and you can specify don't do this with pinned tabs. So if it's a document or a page that you're going to be accessing really frequently, like Gmail, you can make sure that other tabs can be put onto, like, after 15 minutes of not being used, they'll go into a suspended mode, but pin tabs don't, so you don't have to worry about that. It's a really great process. It's a really great function within Chrome. Okay. So that's pretty much it for today. There's lots you can do with Chrome. We haven't even really touched on shortcuts. We did that a little bit last week, but there's a load of great shortcuts that make life easier again. My favorite of which is Control-Shift-T, because it means that if you've just shut everything that you wanted to carry on using by accident, you can press Control-Shift-T and it opens the last tab that you shut, and you can keep pressing it and it will reopen all of those tabs again and again and again. It's also great if you shut this entire window, I could then reopen this and I could press Control-Shift-T and bring it all back up. It even works on system restarts as well. So there's loads of great shortcuts that you can use. I'm just trying not to overload everyone in one go. But hopefully that's been of some use. I'll make sure that this video gets added onto my YouTube page, and then I'll upload that along with the Google Slides onto Google Classroom as well. So if there's anything in here you want to revisit, please do. And if you do have any questions about other parts of Google Chrome or about using any of these functions that we've gone through, please let me know as well. That's it though. Thanks very much for watching. If you do have any questions, feel free to ask now, but I think we're all good. Cool. Take care, everyone. See you soon. Bye.